What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1993 Mercury Capri. Up front is a 1.6 liter inline 4, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Mercury Capri for two reasons. First of all, I've never driven one here before, and this is one of those cars that I've tried to seek out for the last several years and haven't been able to until today. But the second reason is the fact that this really shares a drivetrain with the Mazda Miata, or at least an engine. So it's kind of a front-wheel drive Miata, and I'm gonna share with you why I think that's really, really good. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 1.6 liter under the hood. Well, that is a Mazda engine. So at the time, Mazda was actually owned by the Ford Motor Company, and then its, of course, subsidiary, Mercury. So this car is a little bit of a rolling, moving identity crisis. But the engine comes from Mazda, which is great. It's a dual overhead cam inline 4. It's buzzy, it's fun, and it revs out to about 6,500, which is all you need it to do. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed manual. Now this feels very, very Japanese because it is, again, pulling from Mazda, and it feels wonderful. It's very, very clicky into gear. It's very confident. It's very easy to shift. And anything you know from the Miata, it feels the same here. Last but not least, the differing option from the Miata was the fact that the Capris were front-wheel drive. So you're not going to be doing any skids down Mount Fuji in this, but that's okay. And we'll talk about why that's okay a little bit later on. How does it feel to drive the Mercury Capri? Well, at slow speeds and around town, or as I'm driving here today, as you're seeing on camera, it's perfect. It has great clutch feel, great visibility, it's fun, it's zippy, and it's a hoot. Now, if you get it out on a racetrack or an autocross event, you're gonna notice the downsides of not only the front-wheel drive, but the platform as a whole. But how many people do that? Don't buy this to race on a track, buy this to have fun in the sun, and if you set your expectations properly, this is gonna be one of the best cars you own. It's just a good time. I get to enjoy the beautiful New Jersey sun before it goes dormant. That's great. You could tack it up and down and it won't bark or bite. And I love that. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and oil pressure, along with my speedometer. And off to the right, we have our tachometer, fuel, and battery voltage. The steering wheel does have the Mercury badge, which feels very out of place in this car, but it has it. And we do have our horn buttons as well as our cruise control. Off to the left, we have our gauge dimmer switch, headlights, as well as some climate vents, and this switch that a previous owner added that does nothing. And moving out of the door, we have these little door cups, which are also shared with the Mazda RX-7, the first gen, and the power window switches are from a second generation Mazda RX-7. Moving into the center, we get a giant button for AC, 2 climate vents, our climate controls themselves, fan speed and recirculating, the standard Mercury radio, which says Ford on it, again, a little bit of an identity crisis, cubby, ashtray down below, shifter feels really nice. Love the feeling of that. It does look kind of economy, but to be expected out of a vehicle like this. Then we have our handbrake and the headlight switch. So this button down here is to just pop up the headlights without turning them on. This is to help clean or to signal to someone, but very odd placement for the Mercury Capri to have the headlight switch down below. However, throughout all of this, we don't have a cup holder, so unfortunately, yet very predictably, the Mercury Capri from 1993 fails the big friggin' bottle test. The seats are cloth, however, the original car did come with leather, but because the roof was down so much, the leather got pretty badly beaten up by the sun, so they've been replaced with cloth units. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting in the back of the Mercury Capri. I apologize for the angle for the current moment, but I'll get into frame here in a second. Okay, holy crap, these are bad. Now, to the Capri's credit, as I try to wiggle in here, it has back seats. The Miata never came with back seats. In any generation, any year, any configuration, there are no back seats in any Miata. So this was a plus. If you had a little nephew, cousin, someone small that you could put back here, they could actually come for a ride too. You could use this as a 4-seater, technically. Now, there's two interesting things back here. First of all, there is a switch to actually lower this center right here, and you could use it as a pass-through when the roof is up. When the roof is down, it's kind of redundant. But the second thing is that off to the right, there's a key slot that actually opens up the rear, and you could bring the top forward. So, no power top here in the Mercury Capri, but that's okay. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. So as I mentioned with the top, this actually has 3 keys. So the owner was nice enough to label it. Boot lid is the top, trunk is trunk, and this DI is for the ignition. So, trunk key, turn it like that, and pop it up. Now these struts are kind of old. Oh, it's gonna stay up today. Interesting. It might cut my hand off later, but that's okay. Fuel pump shutoff guide and some spare tire and jack instructions. I love when they actually include a hand-drawn version of the car, but here's the Mercury Capri trunk. Honestly, a lot more spacious in my opinion than the Miata of the same year, and I actually owned a 1993 Miata, so I would know that this actually does have a lot more space, especially because the battery is up front. In the Miata, the battery is back in the trunk, which eats up a lot of space, as well as a spare tire, but this has a deeper spare tire well, so there it is. The Mercury Capri definitely has more space than the Miata. So cool to see that, and boom. Auto closing trunk. Not a purposeful feature, but a feature that this one has. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of the Mercury Capri. I think it looks great. It doesn't look like a Mazda Miata, which is nice because it shares so many parts. It would have been just crazy if Ford and Mercury just rebadged a Miata. They didn't. They actually kind of gave a rip when it came to this. And although people might get mad because the Capri was kind of a pony car back in the day and then they switched it to this, I think this is fun in its own right, so I think the Mercury Capri name is available to stay. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a Mercury Capri? Something I've wanted to do for so long. Well, it's good. That's an understatement. It might be one of the best drives I've had in a very long time. It's not a Miata, but it does a lot of things that the Miata does well. It's a convertible. It's stick shift. It has a buzzy 4-cylinder. It's fun to drive. Like I said at the top of the video with the driving feel, as long as you don't take it to Lime Rock and try to set down a hot lap, this is going to be a great car. And I miss when cars were able to just be something fun at a relatively affordable price. Ford made cars like this. Now the only convertible you can buy is the Ford Mustang. Unless you want a Bronco or Jeep Wrangler, or you want to spend more than $50,000, the Mustang comes in a convertible, but honestly nothing else comes to mind. Toyota doesn't make a convertible, Honda doesn't make a convertible, Mazda makes the Miata. You could get that, but that's, again, a sports car. So, okay, you have 2 options, Ford Mustang convertible or the Miata. But back in the 90s, you had so many, and this was another great pick. We were spoiled by the amount of options that we had, and I was excited to share this one with you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Bob for letting me borrow his Mercury Capri for today's video. This is certainly a bucket list vehicle. I'm out in New Jersey, one of my favorite places, to drive one of my now favorite cars, and Bob was the one that made that possible. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.